Hi, I'm Nick Polce of Gateway Properties, and you're watching The Open Gate.
Yeah, women are gatekeepers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just one gender. Oh, here's a guy, he just wants to shoot a gun. He was
So
going to make us
good.
chicken Picasso last night, or turkey Picasso.
Oh, I bet that'd be good.
Turkey.
It was.
Hi, I'm Nick Polce, and we're here with The Open Gate for episode 4. And today we're welcoming Megan Plete. Megan has a lot here of knowledge of the outdoor industry and hunting, and she's going to tell us, she's originally from Remsen. So, Megan, welcome aboard here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here today.
Oh, great. So, Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, I am the Northeast Regional Director of the National Deer Association. I'm a multimedia sales rep and reporter with the Outdoor News. I am the New York Ambassador for Artemis Sportswomen, which is a National Wildlife Federation initiative for women. Wow. And then I'm also a freelance writer. I like to hunt, fish, hike, camp, and I'm a mom.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know. You've had you put some books out there, and and history of the local area in the southwestern Adirondacks here and around Remsen, and I found them really fascinating. I was pumped to read them. They're really nice.
Thank you. They were a labor of love for sure. It was so much family history and like local history and ties to the area that I poured into it. So they were like my little babies.
Yeah, I can see that. It was really well put together.
Thank you.
So, Megan, you're involved with the outdoor newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that. I know the sportsmen love to read it, and it's probably the biggest publication we've got for outdoor news here in the state.
Absolutely. So, Outdoor News is there's several different states. We have the New York Outdoor News. We've got Minnesota Outdoor News, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. And every state is state specific. So everything that you read in New York Outdoor News only has to pertain to New York. And my involvement with Outdoor News started way back in like 2020, I want to say. And I started as a reporter. I was doing articles for the paper all over the state and meeting really, really cool people. And then I transitioned into doing shows and selling subscriptions. And then I actually transitioned even further, got more involved with the paper and started selling advertising. So every facet of the publication I am involved with. And it's a really, really good resource, like you said, for the outdoorsmen and women in New York State. We cover everything from hunting, fishing, shooting sports, legislation that affects people, and it's always relevant and timely. And
I see you've even tried fly fishing too, right?
Yes. So, oh my goodness, I lived for so many years only doing like spin casting and that kind of fishing, and never really understood how much more, not more, but how fun fly fishing could be, because it's an entirely different situation. It's so much more, you have to be present. Like you have to be in the moment. And I've been doing it for only a couple years now. I'm not going to say like I know everything, because I certainly don't. That's the kind of thing that takes years to master, but I'm loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
because you've got to try and match the fly hatch that's coming off the water and trick the fish with an artificial, with not the real thing, man. And then be ready to set that.
And that's the thing. It's like, I feel like it's such a more physical experience. The casting is so much more involved, and then paying attention to when the fish are hitting. And it's very much more like mindful. You have to be really engaged in the activity, rather than with the other kind of fishing. It's kind of like a little bit more, you can relax. So that's what I love about it, is that it keeps you completely involved. There's no room for slack, right?
No, there's no room for slack. So what do you like, hunting or fishing better?
Ooh, I mean, it's apples to oranges.
Yeah,
like, how can you pick, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, and you're also involved in this national.
The National Deer Association. Yep. So my regular gig is the Northeast Regional Director of the National Deer Association. We are a nonprofit conservation organization, and we focus solely on deer. So our mission is to ensure the future of wild deer, wildlife habitat, and hunting. We are just like if you want to picture like National Wild Turkey Federation, except for we focus on deer. We've got branches all over the country.
Oh,
We have
okay.
a volunteer force. We do grassroots policy monitoring. We do events. We do a lot of field to fork mentored type hunting programs.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a really busy organization, and we are focusing heavily on the future of hunting right now.
That's awesome. Let me ask you, I mean, growing a nice trophy deer here, would you, I mean, do they try to focus on
So let me give you some history.
trophy bucks or?
So the National Deer Association, the predecessor of our organization was Quality Deer Management Association,
Yes.
which focused solely on
Yes.
growing, healthy populations, big bucks, healthy bucks, the healthy ratio of bucks to does, et cetera, et cetera. Then in 2020, the QDMA merged with the policy organization, the National Deer Alliance, which focused all on policy monitoring affecting deer hunters. So now, as an organization, we do all of the things. So sure, quality management is a big focus for us,
Yeah.
but we also do all of the other things as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know from times, actually here, I have hunters call in, where can we get insurance
Yeah.
for leases and stuff? And it's through QDM.
Yeah, we offer
Quality
that.
Deer Management. And that's been a great organization too. So do you guys help out with guys that want to try and plan food plots and stuff? I mean,
Yep. So we are a wealth of information. We've got a program where we help people learn how to manage their properties. We can refer to actual property managers and things like that.
does somebody actually go out in the field or?
We have some staff, conservation staff that does that. Absolutely, we do.
Yeah.
One of the cool things happening right now in upstate New York is we're forming a brand new branch of the National Deer Association here in upstate New York, which is going to be Utica, Rome, Syracuse based. So if anybody's interested in getting involved locally, we are right now in the planning and launching stages of that.
Cool. That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I know myself. I mean, at my age, I want to shoot a nice trophy buck. I don't really want to shoot anything small. And on your own property, a lot of times, I mean, I pass up small bucks. And I've got my sons thinking more on that level too. I mean, it's not just about coming home with meat. It's not. I mean, they want to do that and take a doe or fill a doe tag, and so that's. I mean, they see a big difference too.
There's a whole trajectory, right, of hunting. So like when you get involved the very first time, if you're a kid or an adult onset hunter, your focus is to harvest, right? So it doesn't matter to you what the antlers look like so much. It's just a deer and you're filling a tag.
Right.
And then as you progress through like the hunting circle of maturity, then you start to focus on quality, right?
Yes.
And then once you have achieved all of that, you've harvested good deer consistently, your brain starts to shift to the next person, right?
That's
Helping
true.
the next person in line. And then that's
Yeah.
where mentoring and the getting over that curve kind of comes in. So it's really full circle. And it's funny because, you start with harvesting a lot of times small bucks, you progress with big bucks. And then when you're teaching somebody new, it's again like it's okay to shoot something small as long as it's maybe your first or second buck,
Right.
but then we're going to progress. So it's always like you're always over the hill.
I know. Remember years ago, somebody telling me when I was very young, they said, Nick, don't shoot small bucks and you'll start shooting bigger bucks.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's
Yeah,
true.
if you fill your tag on a small buck, I
Yeah.
mean, then all your potential for that big buck is gone.
I know. It's true. It's true. Yep. So I understand you just got a turkey the other day.
I did. Yeah, it was exciting. So turkey hunting is relatively new for me. I just got into it last.
You like it?
I love it. It's so much fun.
It is.
And there's so many different tactics,
Yeah,
right? So it's
yeah.
it's a really cool thing because just like any other kind of hunting, you can approach it from very different angles. So, and this is only my second year and I've gotten 3 turkeys so far and every single turkey I have harvested has been a different tactic. So this time around, I was learning how to roost the turkeys, and this turkey was roosted with its other turkeys and snuck in quietly before the daylight and set up a blind in a prime location and waited for them to come off the roost. And when they came off the roost, there was 2 toms, and one came from the right, and I was focused on this tom, and it was coming in, and that's exactly what I was going to aim for. That was my target. And then out of nowhere, this bigger tom came in from my left, gave me a better shot. So I ended up switching from that tom to this tom that I harvested. But it was just the coolest thing because like they came right into range, and it was all just done, but by like 6 a.m.
That's so cool.
It was great.
That's great. So did you actually get the call? You get to call in a time?
Last year.
You did?
Yep. So
and
last
they
year
tell me
was,
that's an adrenaline rush, huh?
my goodness. Yeah. So it's just so much fun. So last year was a totally different year entirely because that time around did get to call in some toms, watch them get, kind of aggressive and puffed up, and like they want to know what's going on. And like I had a Jake decoy and a hen decoy out. And, the tom is like, oh, who's messing with my hen here, kind of thing. And they come in and they give you a shot opportunity. And it's so much fun because it's like you're like engaged with their natural tendencies. So you're in it. I love it.
It's not like deer hunting,
It's
It's not. It's yeah. Anytime you can call something in, I think that's so cool. Yeah, but it sounds like you're into this, man.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always something to learn, and I am by no means like an expert, so I'm always learning something. And it's just, that's what keeps me motivated, is that there's so many different tactics, no matter what target animal you're pursuing.
Yeah.
So like one way to do something is not necessarily the right way to do something. Like everybody has their own preferences. So I just love learning. I love learning about it.
Is there certain areas that you like to hunt better? Like, I mean, do you prefer the Adirondacks, or do you prefer the southern tier? Or?
I mean, I don't really have a preference. I feel like it's like regionally based. So like I like to go up into the Adirondacks and learn a little bit about tracking.
Yeah.
I also like to stay kind of more like my home zone and like sit in a tree stand and like wait for a deer that you've been watching on a trail camera for a month or whatever. So I'm never bored deer hunting. Like I know people say like, oh, this is boring to just sit and like wait, but like I'm never bored. You can watch the animals, the squirrels, the birds, whatever is going on. Like there's time for reflection, but like you have to be like in the game. So like I don't have a preference. I just like to do it.
I climb up in my tree stand. I bring your book with me.
Oh yeah.
I'm reading a book.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's very relaxing, know. And it's like you never know what you're going to see in a tree stand there or something. You're on watch, and it's just so it's so interesting to me.
I've seen the weirdest things.
Oh
like,
yeah.
An otter, where there's no like real water source. So it had to be like transitioning from one to the next. But it was the weirdest thing because it was an agricultural area, and it's just like not what you expect to see. I thought maybe it was a big fisher going by, but when it got close, it was an otter. So I had emailed one of my contacts at DEC about like otter behavior and like what is up with this weird otter encounter that I had. And she said, no, sometimes when they're transitioning from one water source to the next, they have to get there. So
they got to get there.
Get there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. I would have thought that. Well,
Crazy.
it was this spring. I mean, earlier this spring, I'm standing in the driveway and I see this thing come out of the woods, and I'm like, what the heck is that? At first I thought, well, it's a woodchuck. No, it's a woodchuck. And it was a muskrat coming right out of the woods, and it's coming right down. Now it's on the driveway, and it's coming right towards me. I'm like, what the heck? And it was just this time of the year. It's and it's transitioning. And it's looking for a mate. And that's what it was. It just maybe in between water sources, because a muskrat's like a miniature beaver to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
But,
they're gonna stick right there.
Yeah, otter. That's pretty cool.
It really was. And also the lady who I had talked to at DEC said that the otter population has rebounded so much due to their restorative efforts that we're going to start seeing otters more and more, especially in places like that, because the population is expanding. It's coming south from the Adirondacks. So look for otters, I guess.
Yeah, I only have one thing against otters, man. They do a number on our brook trout.
They do.
I mean.
And our poor brook trout.
Yeah. I mean, we had a pond, and we stocked it with brook trout. We stocked it with bullheads in there.
Oh, yeah.
150 bullheads. We could not catch a fish in there, and I'm like, where did they go? Where did they go? I happened to be coming down in there hunting one afternoon, and I heard all this ice smashing, and I thought, man, there's a deer walking along the shoreline, And I said, I couldn't see what was along the edge of the pond. Finally, climb up in one of my ladder stands, and I looked down. And it was 2 otter, and I said, "There's where all our fish went to."
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, they're ferocious for sure.
I didn't know they would I didn't know they would go after bullheads. And this one guy said, "Oh yeah, they'll clean them right out."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean.
But there's not many guys trapping like there used to be.
That's another thing.
Yeah, the fur prices are down, and it's sad, really, in a way.
It is. And, trapping is so labor intensive and time intensive that it really is a labor of love.
Yeah.
You have to enjoy just trapping for trapping's sake to do it consistently.
Yeah.
It's like a part-time job when
Yep.
they have their long lines.
Did you ever get into it? And
A little bit.
Did
Wait,
ya?
yeah, about circa 2016 through 2018 maybe.
Yeah.
I got into it. My brother Bill Plete is an avid trapper. He really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
So I shadowed him for a while, and then he had like tore his ACL or something, so he couldn't walk the line. So I was like his arms and his legs for that season. I was pulling traps and pulling fur and doing all that for him. So it was really interesting to be there in the creeks and learn all about it and stuff. I actually I write the women's perspective column for Trappers Post magazine. So even though I don't trap a whole lot anymore, I still get to talk to a lot of trappers and tell their stories. So I stay engaged in the trapping community and I love it.
Yeah, I like to trap. I'll put some sets out during deer season just because if I get bored sitting on deer watch, I go check my sets and check on them. And it does keeps it interesting. So
it's one of those things where you really never know what you're gonna get.
Right,
Like you said it for a target animal, of course, but nature is nature and it does its thing. So there's always surprises.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted to try and get my boys into it a little bit, but and my oldest one did take a little bit of an interest in it. But there's just no, like when I was a kid, I mean, I grew up around it, and that's how we earned our Christmas money. It was, and you were hard pressed to find a swamp that, somebody else wasn't already trapping back then. I mean, it seemed like everybody around my neighborhood was trapping back then, friends of mine, and, but it's totally different now. And I probably got over 100 traps hanging in my pole barn, and I don't know if my sons, a couple of them don't even know how to work them really because they've never used them.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the beast, I guess. So you also do these trade shows.
Yes, I do a ton of trade shows. I do trade shows for Outdoor News mostly and also for National Deer Association. And once in a while, I show up behind a booth for Trappers Post or Artemis Sportswomen. So yeah, I love the trade show circuit. My next show is the Hunt Stock at Vernon National Shooting Preserve.
That's a great place. I love that place.
Yeah. I love Vernon National.
It's like golf with a shotgun, right?
Oh, it's the best. I went on a pheasant hunt there. I want to say it was like maybe January. It was winter time, and I had this wonderful guide, Kiera Walker, who is their only female guide, and she had this beautiful dog, Blue, who is like the star of the show. And it was my first time really doing the upland hunting, and it was awesome. It's a group activity, and it's fun, and it's like teamwork, and it was really, really cool. I want to go back up and see Kiera this winter and do another hunt behind either Blue or one of her other. She has a whole bunch of dogs. She's really good. She's a dog trainer, and she raises them. But yeah, Vernon National is awesome.
When was that? That's coming up when? In August?
Huntstock is coming up July.
July-ish, okay.
I want to say July. It's like the third or second weekend in July this year.
And that's running for a whole weekend, right?
Yeah, it'll be a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Gotcha. And then what do you do? What other shows are after that? Or
so show season is usually from the first of the year through like late spring. So most of my shows for the year are pretty much wrapped up. I do have Huntstock, and then I'll have the Trappers Convention down in Herkimer.
Yep.
But I've been at a bunch of shows this year. I did the one out in Syracuse, the Runnings Great New York Outdoor Sportsman Show, and then I went out to Harrisburg, the NRA show, which is the largest outdoor expo in the country.
How'd you like that?
I loved it. It's not my first. It wasn't my first year, but it was great. It's always there's so much they pack into those buildings, and those buildings themselves take days to go through. It took me 2 full days, and it was a wonderful show. Met a lot of really good folks. Was able to see people that I don't really get to see throughout the year because they're in different portions of the country. But great show. Can't wait to go back. And then we did, what other shows? Outdoor News has been all over the place this year. We're growing every single year. And now that we have more representatives that can do shows, we're hitting like all corners of the state. So I might not be in a bunch of different shows for Outdoor News this year, but I do know that we've got other reps that are going to be in all corners of the state. So we've got Woodsman's. Actually, I forgot about that. Woodsman's in Boonville we'll be at. Yep. And then there's the farm show down in Pompeii, maybe?
Yeah.
Yep. Empire Farm Show.
Empire Farm Show. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we showed up in Hamburg. We are all over the place.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the Woodsman's is big in Boonville, man.
Yeah.
That's a big. It's always been a big show. I was at one time on the board for the Woodsman's, and I was vice president of State Timber Producers.
Oh,
But
wow.
it's always been a big show, and it seems like it's growing every year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and now they've made it so that you don't have to be a woodsman to be interested. I mean, you don't have to be working in the woods to be interested. You can be somebody who just loves the outdoors and go up there and you can get into a craft show there. They're selling all kinds of stuff. So
Oh, yeah.
it's cool stuff. Yeah.
All those shows, they kind of offer something a little bit different. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, look, we're going to take a commercial break here, and we'll be back in a few. Looking to list or buy property in the upstate New York region? Look no further than Gateway Properties. We're a small boutique agency with high integrity and over 39 years experience. Give us a call today or visit our website, gatewaypropertiesofupstateny.com. Hi, I'm Nick with the Open Gate here in episode 4, and we're back with Megan Plete. And Megan, welcome back here, and we're going to talk about some of your outdoor affiliations here. And,
that sounds good.
how what it feels like to be a woman in the outdoor community here, hunting and fishing and stuff. I mean, how are you perceived out there, for one? Let's just start with that. How are you perceived with the guys and stuff as far as in hunting and stuff?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people might be looking for a different answer, but I have to state that there have been so many really, really good men that have helped not only me, but all the women in my circle and in the different groups that I'm affiliated with. The men have really opened doors for us that wouldn't have been open otherwise. There's been a lot of really good guides that we've utilized. There's been a lot of really good mentors. So a lot of the women's groups that I'm involved with, like Artemis Sportswomen, and then I'm also a member of the American Daughters of Conservation, which is a similar group where we do group trips. And a lot of times, we're leaning on these men, these hunting guides and stuff for like tips and tricks and things like that. So, sure, there's been some like interesting experiences, but that's in and out of the hunting industry. So that's nothing industry specific. But, it's people have a perceived notion about like hunting and fishing are consumptive sports, and women, maybe that women are the weaker gender, or women aren't interested in harvesting things, or women are simply just like not into all of the rough, tough outdoor stuff. But when you think about it though, women, they're natural providers, natural nurturers, and natural protectors, right? Our instinct is to do those things for the people around us. So it makes sense then that we would want to harvest food, right, for our loved ones.
True.
We would want to protect our loved ones, and we would want to nurture others around us to do those things. So really, it makes a whole lot of sense when women are hunting, fishing, and doing all of those outdoor activities.
Right.
And a lot of times women, they learn pretty quickly, and they're really good, they're intuitive, and they pay attention to details. So the learning curve sometimes is a little shorter for women when they're picking up these activities. So
Easy now.
I know, I'm like, tread lightly here. But yeah, it's been really good. And I've had a lot of opportunities to mentor other women. And I can say it's honestly been one of the most fulfilling things of my entire career to teach women about deer hunting or fishing or
That's cool.
yeah, and
That
then
really
watching
is.
them harvest something for the first time
Yeah.
and going from watching that trajectory from like kind of the timid, like I don't want to touch, like maybe I don't know how to shoot this gun, or like I really don't know what I'm doing or looking for, like what am I supposed to aim at? Just all of that
So
stuff.
you're really paying it forward, man.
I'm trying
you know?
to.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've had really good folks in my life that have taught me along the way, and
Yeah.
it's fulfilling to teach somebody else and to watch them come out of that experience and feel capable and know that they have a skill set that they didn't have before, and to see the change, on their face and in their body posture. Hunting is one of those things that pushes people beyond their limits, and it teaches them that they are capable of things that maybe they didn't know.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I just think it strengthens the whole society of hunters and the sportsmen that like to shoot and everything, and the Second Amendment and whatnot. I mean, I think it's great that women get involved, because now they can help us out there too, as far as strengthening that whole idea of the Second Amendment and how it's perceived out there, and hunting and how it's perceived, really. Because sometimes hunting is frowned upon. Just depends who you talk to.
Sure.
I mean,
Sure. And women, there's a lot of groups nowadays of like mothers or women in general that are advocates for 2A, for the Second Amendment. And it makes sense because like they are so instinctively drawn to protect their young or protect loved ones. So there's an article coming out in July of Concealed Carry magazine, where I kind of dig into this entire topic about how maybe like my gun right views have changed since motherhood, and how like there's a perceived vulnerability, right, that you don't necessarily pay attention to when it's just you alone in the world, but then when you are tasked with protecting something more vulnerable than yourself, and you realize that most of the threats in the world are a lot bigger, a lot stronger than you are, it changes your perspective. So women are getting involved in this movement for very, very valid reasons, and it's growing every day.
that's cool. That's really good. Yeah, it's good to see women get involved, and it really is. Because like I said, it opens it up the whole industry. It helps us. So. Do you shoot pistol too?
I do a little bit.
Yeah.
I do have my concealed carry permit in New York State, and I do have a concealed carry. It's not really an everyday carry. I need to kind of dig into what will work for me a little bit more. Right now, I have a Smith & Wesson. It's a Bodyguard, the 380. It's a nice gun. I like it. I don't love it. So it's one of those things that I'm kind of like digging my dipping my toes in a little bit and learning a little bit more every day.
Yeah. What would you rather shoot, long arm or pistol? Or
Oh, pistol for sure.
you really?
Just
Yeah.
because I'm so addicted to learning, right?
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
learning things.
Yeah.
So like if I'm not really proficient at something, or I don't feel super like expert level,
Yeah.
I want to keep learning. I'm
Right.
addicted to the hill, right? I'm a hill
Right.
seeker. I like to seek the
Right.
hill so that you can keep learning.
So do you think, was it your family that got you involved in all this? Like your father or your, and maybe, well, I know probably your grandfather for sure, right?
Oh, yeah. So it's multi-generational. I come from a long line of hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen. My great-grandpa was one of the very first licensed New York State guides here in New York. And then my grandpa was an avid outdoorsman. My father was. And then just by chance, I happened to be my father's firstborn child. So it didn't matter. He
Yeah.
was going to take me wherever he was going. So I often got brought fishing and hiking and camping and hunting. And I would literally like walk in his footsteps, and try to learn what he was doing. So my dad taught me a lot of things when I was young. And then when there was a gap that everybody had, or not everybody, but a lot of people, you do hunting, fishing when you're young, then you have a gap, you go to college, you establish your adult life, kind of get out of it. And then after that, a lot of people kind of circle
Exactly.
back. So when I circled back, I had that foundation to build off of. And then I kind of dug a little bit more into the women's stuff and learned different techniques that were, not what I grew up with, but I really had a benefit or an advantage that a lot of people don't have by having that background in hunting and fishing.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I know I had the privilege of hunting with your grandfather quite a few times. And it was amazing because over the years, I mean, he knew exactly where deer were going to run. And he'd say, sit right here, don't move. It was like, oh my gosh, okay. And sure enough,
he was amazing.
might be an hour, 2 hours later, but here come the deer, it's like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And we had quite a few good times there, in the southwestern Adirondacks. Here.
Yeah.
So right outside Remsen. And, but yeah, I think they learned that area intimately.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time outside,
did.
and that's what it's about, getting your boots on the ground and
Yeah,
spending time where you're
exactly.
going to be. It really makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Yeah, my grandpa passed when I was 16 or so, and I had a lot of opportunities before that, but it's like there's never enough, right? Like I wish I had remembered more things that he
Right,
said about,
yeah.
do this, do that. I would have been a much better outdoorsman afterwards. But yeah, so
It's, you
know.
got it, though. You got it. Yep. So, like, did he used to go on family trips and stuff? Did you go camping when you were...
Oh, sure. So we spent a lot of time. We didn't go far as a family. We did a lot of fishing in the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
We did a lot of hunting locally and stuff like that. But as an adult, I've had a lot of opportunities to do fishing trips out of state and go on adventures that I would with women's groups and with media groups and media camps and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I've had a lot of really cool opportunities. One of my favorites was fishing for walleye in Devil's Lake.
Okay, we want to hear about this now.
So let me show you some pictures
Yeah.
here. So last year, 2024, I was able to go on a media trip to Devil's Lake, North Dakota, where we fished for walleye. and it was the best walleye fishing I have
Really?
ever experienced in my life. Let me find it here. Um, yeah, if you ever get a chance, I can't find that picture, but there's tons of really cool opportunities out there. I've had the walleye fishing out there, Devil's Lake in particular, is wild because it was farmland that got flooded over like 100 years. So these farms that were on the hilltops are like on islands, right? And they're isolated. So
Really?
yeah, and it's like grass bottom. It's really, really
So, like,
cool.
how'd you fish this? Like, were you trolling, or I mean,
Well,
how'd they
I
fish?
had multiple days out there, so we had
Okay.
multiple tactics, and every guide that I had did it a little bit differently. But every single day we were filling the boat. Like,
Really?
oh my goodness, it was so much fun,
That's a lot of
and
fun.
some really really big walleye. It was the best. And I've also had opportunities to go out to. Oh my goodness, all over the place, all over New York State, and been down to Pennsylvania and Minnesota. And I'm looking forward to going out to Wisconsin this upcoming year. And yeah, so it's been really crazy out there and just so much fun. Different
Yeah.
species in different corners of the country.
Right.
Lots of
Right.
really cool
Right.
trips.
Jeepers, that's cool though. Devil's Lake. I mean, I've heard about it,
Yeah.
but I always went to Quebec fishing for walleyes.
Oh, yeah.
Fly-in fishing trips, and we actually went in just about every year there for a while. And I mean, just a couple of years ago, I went with my dad and one of my sons. And I know when we first went into this lake, we were flying in and we could see the shoals from the air. And I said, okay, I know where I'm going to fish. And just as soon as I got my stuff unloaded into the camp, got out there, and we had a huge lake all to ourselves. Instantly started catching fish, and this is cool. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
but I love the traditional fishing trips with a seaplane flying in. And
I bet.
I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've never been out west fishing though.
Sure.
And I've always wanted to go to
Sure.
like Devil's Lake or out to Montana and fish
Oh, yeah.
Peck's Lake out there. That's a big walleye lake. I hear about these lakes and I just wonder what they're like. But that's cool.
Yeah.
Devil's Lake.
I've got a bucket list trip that I keep saying every year I'm going to do, and I still haven't done it. And maybe next year, or maybe later this year is the year. But one of my bucket list things is I really want to go down to Florida, and I want to do the python hunting. Right, that's
Oh,
getting
geez,
really
you're on
big.
your own.
It's getting.
I
so
don't want nothing to
big.
do with snakes.
Oh my god, so fun though! But then also the iguanas are an invasive, so like there's so many different things like I just want to do. And,
Yeah.
like, so many different animals, right?
Yep. The one thing bugs me about New York. I wish they would manage the deer, the horns. Like some states, you can't shoot anything that's smaller than a 6 point or something, or 3 points on one side or something. And I just wish, because being in the outdoor recreational business myself, I hear so many guys, that they want to go out to West Virginia or Ohio and shoot big bucks, and it's like we've got it here, the habitat, and that always bugged me. Same thing with the fishing. I mean, I don't know why I got to go up to Quebec and catch fish like that. I go to Oneida Lake and I say, oh, you should have been here yesterday. I don't know if there's just too much feed in Oneida Lake or what, but it bugs me.
You know, I feel it, but like at the same time, I feel like New York is a huge sleeper state, right?
It
There's a
is.
ton of opportunities here, like
Oh,
right
yeah.
under our nose. And I feel like give it some time. I think our folks at DEC, their management plans, everything takes so much time, right?
Yeah.
And usually it's a 10-year plan and they have to work off older data and they're always collecting data. So
Right.
I have good feelings about the future and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that like those things will turn around for us.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, because when I love to shoot a 12-point buck, sure. I mean, you would too, right?
Oh my goodness.
And I can understand. Okay, a first time, or a young hunter that's just starting out, they should be allowed to pick.
Sure.
They want to take a small buck. Fine, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, I mean, I'd like to see some rack management there. Horn management be nice. But that's cool though, out fishing out there in Devil's Lake. I would love to get out there. Really.
You
I
should
love
try
to
it.
walleye fish myself.
Yeah.
I got a story to tell you about.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So, back in 1998, I went elk hunting out to Montana, and with my brother-in-law, and we were sitting side by side, and we both shot our elk. They were pretty distant shots. mine, my brother-in-law's, I know, was over 700 yards, and mine was 450 yards. And anyway, at the camp that week was the editor from the Eastman Journal, which is an elk hunting magazine based out there out in the West. Well, he said, send in your story, boys, and I'll publish it. And that was 1998, and we did our story, wrote it up, and sent it in. Never heard a thing. Well, in 2004, I booked a moose and grizzly hunt up to Yukon, and it was they had to fly me in by seaplane and flow me into this camp 75 miles in off the Alaskan Highway in the Jennings River area. And anyway, the weather got really bad, and I was pinned down in there for 5 days straight, and up in the mountains. It was in higher elevations. Anyway, this was in late September, and we had snow. And so I started going through all these magazines. There was a stack of magazines in a pile there. And I find one edition of the Eastman Journal. One edition. And I open it up, and I'm reading through it, and there is a picture of me and my brother-in-law, and it got published. And I never heard anything about it, and I had to be in 75 miles in off the Alaskan Highway and find that. And the guides came back that night, and I was telling them at the dinner table, I showed them, and they could not believe it. They just about fell over backwards. And I said, can I keep this edition? They said, absolutely.
Yeah, you'd have to.
That's a neat story I had to tell.
It's so crazy because, like, what are the chances, right? Like, everything had to line up perfect for that to happen the way it did. Serendipity.
It was fate. Yeah, serendipity. I mean, I was like, I still, to this day, I mean, it's hard to believe myself that I found this. And then the stack of magazines was like, oh, one edition? Come on, this is crazy. But, yeah, that's my story anyway. Yep.
I love it.
So, any future plans?
I mean...
Going away?
Well, yeah. This
hunting or fishing out of state?
Yep. So on this Thursday through Sunday, I'm heading out to Ohio to fish Lake Erie for smallmouth with American Daughters of Conservation. We're gonna go out and have a girls' weekend. I'm super excited about it. Oh
man.
Yeah, and then for the rest of May, I'm hoping to fill my second turkey tag, and then I want to do some trout fishing. I haven't had a chance yet to get out there, so I want to do it. The water's been high, so I'm hoping it'll settle down a little bit, and then I'm going to roll into the rest of summer. I'm also doing this arrow a day challenge where we're getting ready for bow season. We're making sure that we're shooting every day.
Busy.
Try to be, that's always never stand still kind of thing. So I'm looking forward to deer season this year. I always am, but I feel extra excited this year. I don't know why. Yeah. Hopefully there's something good on the horizon, but so I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds like you've got a lot going on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you get your tree stands up ahead of time and go out and scout around and?
Oh yeah.
So you got your spots picked out.
Yeah, and that's like a family thing, kind of like we do it. We all help each other out, and we do it together, and it's one of those generational bonding things. Sometimes we take the kids, and they kind of tag along and watch what's going on, and so yeah. Looking forward to all of it. And my kiddo, she's getting, I've taken her out in the deer, in a blind, not in a stand.
How old is she, Megan?
She's 6. She'll be 7 in July.
Does she like to go out with you?
She loves hunting and fishing.
Oh my gosh,
she's all
that's
about
great.
it. Yeah,
you get her hooked on a fish there, so she got to reel that in.
Oh yeah, she caught her first fish all by herself last May or so, and she was so proud because before it's been me casting, kind of helping, but she's bigger now,
that's too cool.
So she's proud of herself. Yeah. And then she sat in the turkey blind this year already, and she fell asleep, but that's okay. It's an early morning, so I'm not going to, hold that against her. And she'll go out with me for deer, and it'll be good. So she's, tagging right along.
That's great. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Okay, Megan, do you have any fun stories you could tell us?
I do. If you'd like to see some pictures,
I
tried
would
to
love
show you these
to.
earlier.
Oh, okay.
So that doe that you're looking at, it's a fun story because it was from this past deer season, 2024. It's muzzleloader, right?
Okay.
And I harvested her just like any other. But normally when I harvest a deer, I call my dad or somebody to come help me drag it because she's heavy or they're heavy, and just to help with the whole gutting process and everything like that. But that particular day, nobody wanted to answer their phone. So I tracked this, blood trailed this crazy deer, found her. Nobody wanted to come help. So I dragged her. She weighed as much, if not more than I did, all the way up to where I was parked. I field dressed her all by myself, and then still nobody would come with like a truck or anything. So I had to stuff the whole entire doe in the back of my Toyota RAV4 and bring her home.
How did you get it up in the truck?
Muscles.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline more so, yeah. Leverage.
Yeah.
So it was funny just because like I did not have that planned out very well, but it worked out okay. So, women can do things they put their mind to. But yeah, so that was super fun. Another fun story I've got is I was able to, my friend Jacques, who is one of my mentees, she, this past turkey season, I was able to watch her harvest her first turkey, and oh my goodness, what a trip. It was the most fun we have like ever had in our life, and it was like chaos, but controlled chaos. So there's just so much fun stuff out there.
Oh,
we have so much fun.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know how you got that deer in the back of the truck like that alone.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? What are you going to do?
I remember one time though, up to our camp, we went out. It was 2 feet of snow on that morning. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I thought, oh man, it was a heavy, wet snow. Well, nope, we all wanted to go out hunting, so we all went out hunting. And all of a sudden, I heard this boom, and I knew it was a friend of mine where he had shot. Mm-hmm. And I go hiking over to him. And I said, did you get it? Yeah. Well, he dragged this buck, and it was a huge buck. And this guy couldn't have weighed 120 pounds. And he dragged this huge buck from the bottom of this hill way up to the top without gutting it.
Wow.
And I'm like, how did you get this thing up to the top of the hill? And I'm looking, he didn't know how he got it to the top of the hill. And I'm looking where he dragged it from. And it was just adrenaline.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because like deer hunting really does bring out like as much strength in you as you can possibly summon. Like you think about like all the stuff like that you wouldn't lift, right, in a daily basis. Like you wouldn't be like hauling all this crazy stuff, but then miraculously we all become the Incredible Hulk when it's time to drag deer. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's some good stories out there, I'm sure. So tell us a little bit about this brochure you came in with here.
Yeah, so this is all about the National Deer Association, which is a nonprofit or conservation organization I work for. This has all kinds of information about what we do as far as policy, advocacy, education, disease management or disease work and research, things like that. We've got stats in there about our impact on deer hunters. Our Fields of Fork program puts through thousands of folks on a yearly basis. We're always teaching people about hunting, the next steps, things like that, skills that are applicable, things that they need to know. Yeah. And then we have an impact in local areas, right? So like our fundraising efforts, a lot of those dollars that we raise stay local to help people with efforts such as, venison donation programs or scholarships for students that are going into wildlife programs or things like that. We do seminars and all kinds of stuff. We're chugging away all the time.
And it's growing, huh?
Growing every single year.
That's awesome.
Yep, we've got branches springing up all over. My territory covers everything from Maine to Ohio, south to Virginia. And we've got branches that are popping up all over that region. But like locally, we do have branches that are popping up. But we've got strong branches in New York anyways. We've got a really strong branch out in Western New York. They've got Aerofest, which is a 3D archery shoot coming up just soon in June. And then we've got a strong branch up at the upper Hudson area, and then one in Long Island and one in the Oswego area. But we're filling our vertical, our empty kind of middle area with our upstate New York branch that's just emerging right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to get involved in that, all they have to do is go out to deerassociation.com, or they can email me directly at Megan@Deer or they can hook us up or look us up on any of our social handles.
Absolutely. I know I've got one. My youngest son is in Portland, Maine, and he claims whitetail is just like there's not many deer out in Maine like there is here compared to New York State.
Oh, I'm sure the density is much lower.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. But that's okay because I get to see him come home.
There you go, right?
And spend time with him.
Yeah, definitely. Any area, even well-managed areas, they can always use work. We can always, things are changing all of the time. So it's important that we're staying on top of the issues that affect the deer herd, staying on top of any kind of disease threats or things like that. And even if unmanaged herds eventually become flat. So even though in many places in the country the deer herd is healthy, it's not a reason to be complacent.
What are they saying anything about like moose are starting to populate in the Adirondacks pretty good? Mm-hmm. In a lot of places I see tracks, and we're seeing them around here locally.
Yeah.
Is the association concerned at all about the moose intermixing with the deer, the white-tailed? Because I know they didn't get, there was a disease or something that eradicated the moose years, in the 40s from New York State.
We don't have an official stance on it, and right now it's not really anything that we're super concerned about. We're happy to see the moose population rebound, but right now it's not an area of concern.
Yeah, that's cool. I know a lot of places in the Adirondacks now. Man, it's like I see more moose tracks than I do deer tracks.
Oh yeah,
it's really neat.
it's pretty exciting. They're getting like more south every single year. I think we've had here in Remsen, I don't know, 4 sightings.
Yeah.
And that's really rare. I remember growing up here, we had a sighting. Oh, I want to say it was like Fairchild Road.
Right.
And I was somewhere around 10 years old, and it was like a big deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah, and
It
then
was.
there might have been one more sighting somewhere in Steuben, but like that was the whole duration over 20 years.
Yeah.
And now just this year, we've had several sightings. So
I know it.
it's growing.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely growing. It's good to see. It's good to see the moose in the Adirondacks. But anyway, yeah, this is a cool organization, man. It's looks like you got a lot going on here: educational, conservation, communication. Man, it's this looks very nice.
We should get you involved in some way.
I would love to. I would love to. Well, at this point, I want to thank everybody for joining in on our podcast here in the Open Gate. And I especially want to thank Megan for giving up her time and coming in here today. And I really appreciate it, Megan.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I wish you a lot of luck in your endeavors out there because you really got something going on here, man. It's cool stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks. Appreciate you coming in. Hi, this is Nick with the Outdoor... Do it over.
Outdoor news.
I love hearing about this. Do you have any fun stories to share?
Yeah, I do. Do you?